Hello and welcome. Today we are going to start talking about Kotlin. So what is Kotlin? Kotlin is a statically typed programming language for modern multi-platform applications. What does that mean? That means that Kotlin is a programming language. Kotlin is a programming language that is a JVM programming language. So what you write on there will turn to bytecode after you compile it and be run on the Java virtual machine. Kotlin is similar to a lot of different programming languages. If you know one, you pretty much know them all or can pick them up pretty easily. It's based off of Java, but it takes a lot of the extra work out of Java and takes some of the functionality that Java programmers have had issues with in the past and removes them. It also removes the null pointer exceptions by kind of forcing you to be safe about what you're doing and reducing the amount of null pointers. So other than using it on the JVM, you can also use Kotlin for Android programming. You can also use it for browser programming, and they're working on native. To my understanding, native is the most recent that they're using. So how do you get started in developing with Kotlin? Well, the first thing is you have to have the JDK. So those of you who are Windows or Mac users, you'd go to the Oracle site and click on Download JDK. If you do a search for Google for JDK, it'll be the first search that pops up. You'll go down here and you'll pick what version you want. I'm using Linux, so I'll install it a little bit different than this, but basically for Mac and Windows, you'll just click on this, and then after it's done downloading, you'll double click on it in the folder you downloaded to, and it should take you through a wizard to do all of the wonderful stuff. If you're on Linux, the way that I recommend getting Oracle Java set up would be this way. So you're going to use the terminal. And then at the terminal, let's clear that terminal real quick. Terminal, you're just going to type in the command sudo add apt repository ppa web update team /java. Whenever you hit enter from that, then it'll ask if you're sure, you hit enter, and then you'll do a sudo apt update and then a sudo apt get install Oracle Java 8 installer. Now we're up to Java 9, so you can do Java 9 installer, or you can do a Java 7 installer, or there's also the OpenJDK if you prefer to go the route of open software. Once that is installed, you can verify that it has been properly installed if you go to your terminal and type in java-version. It'll tell you what version you're using. If you do Java C-version, it'll show you the version of Java you're using. Now, if you don't know, Java with the C at the end of it is compiling, and Java without it usually is running it. It's been a while since I've done command line programming, but that's about the basics on it. So how are we going to develop? We got the JDK installed now. So you can, using Kotlin, you could do a standalone compiler, which you'll be using the terminal. You can just type it into a text field. You can use Eclipse, which is an integrated development environment. Android Studio, which is the same, but this pretty much from what I've experienced is you can only make Android apps with Kotlin that way. And then there is the IntelliJ IDEA. So what I recommend personally is IntelliJ. Go ahead and go to the IntelliJ site, and you want to download, and then it automatically selects what device you're using. And I would recommend just getting the community version. You can run a free trial on this, and then, to my understanding, it turns into the community if you don't pay for it. But just to make it easy, I go ahead and just download the community version. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open IntelliJ. If you're installing it, you will have to run it for the first time, and then when you run it for the first time, it will pop up and go through a wizard. I've already got it installed on my device, so I can't show you the wizard. Again, Windows, Mac users, the wizard, you'll just double click. If you are a Linux user, you'll go into the IDEA/bin, and then you have the idea.sh, so then you just run idea.sh and it'll run it for the first time. When it runs it for the first time, it will get everything set up for you how you need it to be set up. So now that we have this set up, we're going to go ahead and go to create new project. And then we have options over here, we have options over here. So Java, JavaFX. So if you just wanted to program with Java, you just click Java. If you want Kotlin, go down here to Kotlin. So we'll do Kotlin JVM. And then next. And then we're just going to name this project tutorials and hit finish. After we've done that, it's going to take a little bit of time to load up, especially if it's the first time you've ever loaded up. And you'll see down here, configure Kotlin. It's configuring everything, getting everything ready. And here's it's indexing, so we just have to wait for a little bit for it to create the project and get everything set up for us. Okay, now that it has finished loading, I'm going to click on tutorials right here, and right here on source, we're going to right click it and say new Kotlin file / class. I'm just going to name this one main. And if you have used Java in the past, you know that every time you create a file, it has a class tied to it. With Kotlin, it doesn't have a class tied to it. You can just have a Kotlin file that has nothing but functions, nothing but variables, or it could have a class in it, or whatever. You'll notice that the extension is .kt for Kotlin programs. So we're just going to make the most basic program that anyone can make. Fun main arg array string. Let's see, print line hello world exclamation mark. And that's it. We're going to save. You'll notice that there's no semicolon here. So we're just going to go ahead and run this and see what happens. Whenever you run it for the first time, it'll pop up this little box. You'll just click on the program you're running. And then you'll see up here it changed. And you'll see down here it's building. And you also see that I have a new version that I can install, because Kotlin 1.2.30 just recently came out. Alright, so now we have a console right here, so we ran it, and now it spits out hello world. Now, the cool thing about this is you can have it on the bottom, or you can move it to the right or the left, or however you want it. So if you wanted it up and down like that, you can do it up and down like that. If you prefer it at the bottom, you can leave it on the bottom. You can put it on the left side, whatever you want to do. Alright, well, that was our setup of Kotlin. Thank you very much.